Hey everybody, I hope you're all doing well. We're just going to do a little bit of quick market analysis before the CPI data is announced tomorrow. So tomorrow before the market, I believe at about 8:30 a.m. Eastern time, the CPI data is going to be released, and depending on what the numbers are, we could see either a positive reaction or an adverse reaction. We're just going to go ahead and analyze the possibilities and then look at some charts and hopefully we get some good clarity. So we're just going to jump right into it. First up, we have the S&P 500. Now, I am looking at the futures right now just for a little bit more clarity. But really, all that we need to know is we did close really strong today, but we did not manage to close above our levels of resistance. So this is something that I am kind of watching a little closely. As you guys know, we broke out of this essentially year and a half long channel that we've been following. We even dipped below our daily 200 SMA, but we closed below our or we closed actually right at our daily 100 SMA. Now, on the flip side, bulls might say, well, look, we had a massive green day right before CPI data is announced. Maybe someone or some institutions in the market know something we don't. Now, bears might say, well, look, we just closed at resistance and markets are pumping on relatively low volume. So that could potentially be a bull trap in the making. Now, if I'm not mistaken, inflation is, I believe, estimated to be about 7.3 or 7.4%. If there's any sort of slight improvement, that might indicate that there might not need to be more rate hikes in the future or more aggressive rate hikes, then I think we could see a rally. Really, the next level of resistance I'm watching right now, besides this 100 SMA at 45.82, is 45.94. And if we could break that, I think we could easily push to above our daily 50 SMA. And then maybe we could even start looking at reclaiming this channel. Now, on the flip side, if the CPI data comes out and say inflation is far worse than expected, then we could potentially be looking at a test of this daily 200 SMA again. I wouldn't be surprised if, perhaps maybe we test it, maybe relief rally, and then we just kind of continue lower. If we do have really, really bad CPI data, there is a possibility that SPY could potentially go back into the low 420s, maybe if not lower. So just kind of be aware of that. Right now, I'm not playing any SPY options. I have uh, actually call options in individual names, and maybe I might scalp intraday calls or puts tomorrow. Really, we're just going to have to see how that data is. All right, next up we have the NASDAQ 100. So really, big thing to watch here is we are actually below a stronger level of resistance. We are actually below our 200 SMA. We literally finished right below it. So again, the bear thesis here is, well, look, we have a major announcement coming tomorrow that's obviously going to move markets, and everything pumped right up to resistance. So that's telling us it could be a potentially purely technical bull trap in the making. Or, on the flip side, bulls are going to say inflation is most definitely going to have improved. I mean, we had the jobs report data come in that was much better than expected. Obviously, many names are completely hammered already and in value territory. So there isn't much more downside. And, as long as inflation remains, then perhaps stocks and, other assets are going to be your best bet rather than just holding cash. Now, really, again, big level to watch here is going to be the 200 SMA on the daily. 15095 is the level. If we can't break that, then we could see some pretty massive downside here. I wouldn't be surprised if we completely take out, these fib levels, 38.2% extension, 50% extension, even our 61.8 extension could be tested. Now, if we reject, it is a possibility that this could go either way. Now, obviously, look, we do have downtrend, bit of rally, higher low, lower high. So we have essentially a tightening range. So we're not going to have much clarity until we break either direction. Um, so really, this is just something we're going to have to watch. Whenever you have these tightening ranges, they can give us very, very good opportunities to trade. But sometimes you just have to be patient and really wait to see where the market goes. So this is something we're going to be following closely. So the Russell 2000 actually managed to reclaim the bottom of its range. Basically, for all of 2021, we were trading between these levels. We finally broke out, and we absolutely got hammered and made a low of 1901. So this actually, sorry, this is actually looking a lot better than the other two charts, believe it or not, because we kind of do have a clear break here, and what appears to be even an inverse head and shoulders. So really, the big resistance level here that I'm watching is going to be our daily 50 SMA right at 2142. 0.1. If we can break that, then I think we're going to be headed up towards 2200s, and then probably looking at testing that 200 SMA and 100 SMA. So obviously that's going to be a very, very strong level of support. Sorry, a very strong level of resistance. But if we could push above this 50 SMA, then I think we're going to be in a much better position and make higher lows. And then hopefully with strong earnings and a better macroeconomic outlook, we could easily push back and maybe even move towards all-time highs again. So this is something to watch. Definitely keep an eye on many of the growth stocks, like the hyper growth stocks. Upstart is one that comes to mind. Cloudflare, CrowdStrike, Snowflake. These could have very, very lucrative options in either direction, but especially towards the upside. Now, if we do reject and we have very, very bad data tomorrow, then we could be looking at a possible retest of probably a 23.6% retracement. Um, I wouldn't be surprised if maybe we even grind lower. We could be headed towards 1901. If we retest that, then really our next level of strong support here is probably going to be looking probably around the 1800s, maybe around 1853. So from current levels, that's probably going to be about 150 point, 200 point drop. VIX, not a whole lot to be said here. Looking at testing that daily 200 SMA, so just keep an eye on this. Um, we could bounce, we could move lower. I wouldn't be surprised if we trade below the 200 SMA and we kind of trade sideways, form a stage one base, and then we could potentially move towards the upside or downside. I'm really hoping this does come down because I want to get some leap positions for certain equities that I'm looking at. And obviously, with the elevated VIX, your IV is going to be much higher for the options. So, I want to have a lower IV, especially if I want to go long on, say, calls. All right. And finally, we're just going to go ahead and take a look at Bitcoin. So, Bitcoin actually is doing relatively well compared to the rest of the markets. What I've noticed is we were talking last time about how Bitcoin has just been absolutely correlating with tech, but right now that seems to be easing a little bit, and we want to continue to see um, tech and just the stock market itself kind of decouple from, or Bitcoin decouple from equities market because you don't want them moving in tandem, especially if we want crypto to go mainstream and we want Bitcoin to be this essentially hedge against inflation and separate. If you truly want it to be a separate asset class, then it needs to be moving independently of stock markets. Not a whole lot to be said here. Really, just keep an eye out. We are getting a little bit exhausted here. Our RSI is above 50, but it is starting to flatline, and we do have some pretty wild wicks here. this could go either way. Really just keep an eye out for a retest of this 50 SMA. If we could hold and say our 9 EMA start to move up, we could form a confluence and strong level of support. If not, then I would be looking at a retest of this previous local high around 45.5. If you remember, 45.5 historically has been our level of support. That was the level that we thought was going to hold, broke. If we could break above it, that would be super bullish. I think we could easily see it push up to about 48,000. Really up around 49,000 is going to be the next major level of resistance. So, we're just taking this day by day. As you know, I'm long Bitcoin. And I think, as I mentioned before, I was actually hoping we could have gotten a wick down all the way to the 100 SMA on the weekly, but we never did. And that's okay. That's okay. But this is definitely something to keep an eye out for. We did break this downtrend, and what's interesting is we barely even formed a stage 1 base here. We just kind of went straight to the stage 2 move upwards. So this just shows the volatility in crypto could be your best friend if you know how to take advantage of it. Limit buy orders are going to be your best friend. And yeah, this is just something we're going to keep watching. And hopefully Bitcoin continues to decouple from stock markets, and it will shine, I believe, in the long. Okay, so the last thing we're actually going to go ahead and take a look at is expectations for tomorrow. So really, the big thing is no one obviously really knows what's going to happen in the markets, but one of the main issues seems to be that it seems to be plaguing retail is we have this expectation that events are kind of binary, but really they're not. Just because there's bad news doesn't mean the market's going to go down. Just because there's good news doesn't mean the market's going to go up, right? Everyone can say something is priced in or something isn't priced in. We truly don't know. Really, the best thing you can do is just identify those levels of support and resistance so you have an idea after the news is announced. And really, that's just all we strive to do. So, whatever happens tomorrow, we'll be ready. We have our levels of support and resistance to watch, and we have our plan. And definitely, it's going to be an interesting day tomorrow. Stay safe out there, and if you're trading, definitely keep the position sizes appropriate, and remember to always do your own research. Obviously, I'm just one person with one opinion, and one person who does technical analysis, but there are many, many more. And if you have any other questions, comments, or concerns, feel free to let us know in the comments down below. If you want to join our premium Discord where we give more alerts and more in-depth analysis, then feel free to click the link in my bio. And if you are interested in kind of seeing how our alerts work, we actually have our Instagram page, which is just at Stocksplaining on Instagram. You can go through our stories and you can actually see the alerts that we've given. And recently we've started giving free alerts for people. So if you're a follower, you can get in on alert. We recently gave one on Coinbase. If you remember, I was talking about Coinbase in one of the last videos. That vertical spread that we alerted to everyone for free is, last I checked, was up 50%. So that's a free 50% gainer. So yeah, transparency is what we're all about. If that interests you, feel free to check it out. With that being said, I'm going to go ahead and end this live stream, and we'll check back in a few days. Take care.